doing this next board meeting?
I don't know, I just followed it, yeah, next board meeting.
And are you here possibly regarding your value? Or
Yeah, well, it's quite a jump here.
so this meeting is to talk about budget and levy. So this
Yeah.
meeting is for budget and levy, and if you have a question regarding your property value, then that would be directed to Chris Otten.
Yeah, well, it says you gotta be here today, too,
Yeah,
so.
but this meeting is like for budget and levy. And if you have questions regarding your value, then you talk with the assessor.
Afterwards?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
or
Do
you
I
can
need
call
this?
him at any time. If it's about value, then that's
It's
not
free.
this meeting.
no, I just figured I gotta be here. If you don't go to this meeting, you can't go to this one and get anything done.
If you can go
I've done
in
that
the
before.
spring to the township meetings,
They
That-
told
that-
me I didn't go
I
to the
think he's
first
talking
one.
to equalization.
Equalization,
so that's.
That's two
in
different
the
meetings.
spring.
yeah.
Chris, maybe you should talk to him.
Hi, Jane.
You can, if you.
Did you go to the reunion?
No, did you? We're guilty.
There's some things I would've liked to go on, but. Stay on.
Meeting now.
Hello, and welcome to the Truth and Taxation Meeting. All commissioners are present along with the auditor, treasurer, and coordinator, and we will stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, Denise?
Thank you. We're here tonight for the Truth and Taxation Meeting for 2020. I'd like to welcome everybody. Of course, this is my department head leadership group. I don't have anybody here from the public, but we'll still go through the slide showing the purpose of the meeting, even though you probably all know it. We have the disclaimer that this meeting is just for budgets and levies for the county. We're not here to discuss market values, taxes, classifications, anything of that such should be called into the appropriate offices, and the department head of that office can explain if you have questions on that. We don't have anybody here from the public, so I don't need to go into that any farther. But the next slide is kind of just the property tax cycle. And we've added this slide this year, maybe to help individuals that would have showed up tonight, because I think they get confused, just as the gentleman here that was just in here. The blue sheets is the first step that goes out, and that's done by the county assessor. He establishes the market value, the classification. The county board will then adopt all changes that he makes to those categories. That is shifted over then to me at step 2, where we're at tonight, which is in the fall, the Truth and Taxation Meeting, where the county establishes a budget and a levy, and that final budget and levy then shifts in the spring when I actually calculate the taxes. And so the end result is when the assessor and the county auditor treasurer's data is put together for tax statement purpose. So that's the foundation and the building blocks, and I think taxpayers get confused because the equalization meetings are held in the spring, and this gentleman is correct. If you do not go to that first meeting and dispute your value or your classification with the assessor, then you cannot move on to the county level or the state level. That's just one stepping stone of the process. So I just wanted to clarify that to the general public. If they were here tonight, they're not, but it educates everybody. The next item we have is the budget preparation timeline. Back in 2014, the county board established a finance committee, which I think was probably the smartest thing that we've ever done. It consists of the board chair, the vice chair, myself, and the coordinator and staff from the auditor treasurer's office. We establish a time line that we go through, starting in June, July, after the final audit is done and presented. And at that time, we meet with county leaders of each department, and we establish what their programs really need for the county to operate. They come up with a budget, we fine tune it, we kind of go through it with them. We started out at 6.75 and we ended at 3.65, which I think is a great accomplishment, and I thank all my department head leaders here. They did an outstanding job as far as cutting their budgets where they thought they could, and they did exceptional, going from 6.75 down to the 3.65, making cuts throughout those. Our next screen then would be tax capacity history. You'll see in this slide that we are doing an uptick and we're trending up, where they were in 2016 and where they are today at 2020, or for 2022, the tax capacity is going up. So we're seeing that trend up, and that's based on market values. The next slide is the county budget history. We always like to show this one because we want to show where the dollars were spent, either through other sources, whether they be grant dollars, federal dollars, and where the actual county levy dollars are used. And the really fine red line at the top of those is where when we dip into fund balance. And so we've been very good at not using our fund balance. And, you know, moving forward after COVID, we really don't know what we're going to see in 2023. So we're at a good fund balance, and it would be good to just leave that there for the unknowns, because we don't know what's going to be coming. Todd County's budget components, 52% of the 2022 proposed county budget is sourced by salary and insurance expenses, and we are in an open labor negotiation contract year as of now. And so, as you can see, that's over half of the levy right there is just in salary and insurance and benefit packages. The county consistently is trying to be proactive, funding building maintenance projects, and I commend Mitch and the others that sit on that facility committee. I know, being here with the county over 30 years, there was years we had nothing, and if something went down, we had to dip into fund balance to fix it. And Mitch has been proactively having a schedule and looking out, I think, what, 20 years? Yeah, and so as we're saving this money, we're doing projects, but it's not affecting the fund balance because we're actually being proactive. We're seeing that in other departments as well. Things that we're also looking at is our heating and cooling and rooftop units. Those are being replaced. And also the transfer station, that's going through a bonding through the state, and we're hoping to get that started next year. And the nice thing about that is we don't have to county bond for it. We have money set aside for that project as well. Our Public Works Department is looking at a future project, and Lauren, again, him too, have been diligently putting money aside in a committed savings account, so we're proactively thinking ahead and not waiting till the day that that building would crumble and have to go, oh, let's go out and bond money at a high rate. We're already proactively looking at that. And by doing that, it decreases the resilience that we have to rely on fund balance or going out and bonding. And right now, our bonds, when we research them through the finance committee, we only have 2 bonds, and that's on this building. And I think they'll be done in 2026, if that's correct? 26 and 27. So that's not that far off. So that's a great accomplishment for Todd County to be debt-free. The next slide would be the county tax rate history. And this one, we're happy to report you're seeing our county rate is going down each year, and that's just due to us, again, proactively going through the budget, cutting line items where we can, reducing budgets. So that is just us being fiscally responsible as a county. This ends the last few slides of just showing where the finance committee had ended with our levy just being a little over 1% for budget purpose and local levy at the 3.65. You'll see the levy dollars as each line item that's committed for levy dollars and where the spending was and where the savings was. Here again, you'll see there's a negative of 13% in our public health and 5.42 in our HHS, Human Services. And I commend Jackie on that as well. She's another department head that really fought for looking for money and funds to offset her budget, and that just shows right there that she did an excellent job of that. So the Finance Committee was happy to say that with a budget of just little over 1%, that was a great accomplishment. Moving forward with just the economy the way it is and inflation, if we can have a budget of just over 1% and be able to maintain that, that's quite an accomplishment. The next slide would be the public hearing, and as I instructed the county board, if anybody's here to discuss, this would be the time that they could discuss county budgets or levies, or if they had any ideas of what we could do to make the county dollars better, that would be great. Again, we will restate, nobody can talk about market values, classifications, taxes. Those would be things they'd have to call the individual offices, where it would be Chris Odden, the assessor, or myself. We're at the
Chris?
public hearing time, is there?
Do either one of them want to speak on the budget? Okay, okay.
Okay, and so we end the slide with, the county board will now have options that I'll bring forward on the 10th. They can either approve this final levy as we had stated in the preliminary levy on September 7th, because we did not make any additional cuts from the preliminary levy, or they could direct the Finance Committee to go back and reduce some budgets. But again, by doing that, you're also going to be cutting services, because we've cut everywhere we can, so anything we cut now would actually be cutting services. And then third would be to use the reserves, as I said, but the Finance Committee did have a long discussion on this, and we're just giving our recommendation. It's the board's final decision, but we would discourage using any fund balance, just because, like we said, we don't know the unknowns in 2023 after COVID and what's going to happen with the economy and the state it'll be in. So it would be good to keep our fund balance. So basically, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but I'd like to thank all the department heads, the Finance Committee, everybody that worked so hard this past year, especially during labor negotiations and where we started at and where we ended. I think it's a good accomplishment, and I thank all the department heads for putting pen to paper and slashing their numbers the way they did. We have the contact information. This will be online, so anybody that is viewing the YouTube stream, they will have the same slideshow that they can call the department head leaders if they need to ask any questions, or myself will be readily available.
Any questions or comments, commissioners?
We didn't have any appointments, and we had phone calls, but again, those were just different issues. They would need to be talking market value, they'd be talking taxes. We had some school districts that seen some high increases that we had to answer for. But otherwise, we didn't have anybody making an appointment.
What school districts approved their referendums, do you know?
Long Prairie Grego.
Yeah, just
What was
Long
that?
Prairie. Long Prairie Grego was approved,
Okay, did Osakis?
Osakis was just,
replacing
Council.
a
Was it-
school board member
Okay.
had passed away.
Oh, okay,
And so
okay.
their item was just to,
And that was the only two
let me-
referendums
I
that we?
will look at my list.
she has a list of them. There was only that
Well,
one.
just in case we get calls, I just
Yep.
wanna know what school referendums went up, would have caused some increase.
There was two that I had messages on. There's an actual message that goes on the Truth in Taxation,
Yeah,
that if they had a referendum passed, I have to program that in there, so it'll state right below the school district
Okay.
that says, if a referendum passed, this will change your amount for school levy amount.
okay, so they haven't showed the increase yet then?
No,
On-
because
under
when
current-
we print them, we
Yep,
don't know that
okay,
that
right,
election has
okay.
passed or not passed.
Because we get phone calls and sometimes that's the reason their increase goes up, so,
Sauk Center School District was the other one, and Long Prairie Grego.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. I've had a lot of new building in my district. what is the overall for the county, the new building, valuation? Could
I would-
we have any idea? That's,
That
because
would-
that's part of
You
the,
need to talk to Chris
He
about
gave
that.
us that number the other day at a meeting in here, cause I asked that question, but I don't remember how much it was up. Chris, do you remember that? I know we asked that at one of the
Are you
meetings.
talking about new construction revenue?
What's
Correct.
the
Yep.
new, what you're trying to say is what's our new, dollar
Yep.
top tax capacity?
Tax
Is that what
basket,
you're looking
yeah.
for?
Yep.
Yeah, and it did go up.
Amazing how much building's been going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is,
Oh, it is.
especially with prices.
Yeah.
I will try not to get this
I think it's five
the
something.
years.
Oh, yeah, the tax capacity, yep, so.
Yep,
yeah.
so there's your capacity history.
Well, can you screen in on that or not?
Try.
Yeah, this shows the, tax capacity and it's going up. That's the screen I talked about where it was trending up. You'll see where it was in 16 and how it's doing that. So if the tax capacity is going up, those market values are increasing. Yeah, so you'd have to talk to Chris about what areas, the increases he's seeing, because he'll have that whole breakdown, whether it's ag or new construction and seasonal.
right.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked that question, I was sitting next to Douglas County Commissioner, and the new building is actually gonna cover what their levy is going up, so it's really gonna be like zero. So, interesting.
Well, and they may be talking about too, like commercial. If you have a lot of commercial,
True,
like the big, huge box stores,
But
and they're like
overall,
really offset their tax capacity over there, and that's what helps their taxes go down, is those big box buildings, you know.
If they don't appeal their taxes,
Well,
they
exactly.
can't pay their taxes. The box factories are not good at that, so
Right.
paying their taxes.
If I hear no other questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
second?
Second by Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
We will stand adjourned. And thank you. And I hope Chris will visit with you then, with your questions also.
So,
Yeah.
that's what I was.
Where'd it go?
Thanks for coming in. We appreciate that.